Hi everyone, my name is Chelsea. Welcome to Little Mountain Ranch. Welcome to my garden. I'm really happy to have you here with me today, where I do have to show you something that is not quite as beautiful as all this greenery you see behind me here. Does anyone have any guesses what I have to show you right now? So I looked out the window this morning at my thermometer and I kind of gasped a little bit. This was probably around 7 o'clock this morning, and I saw that it was hovering just above 0 degrees. So I was fairly confident by seeing that temperature that I would have frost down in the garden. So sure enough, I threw on a sweater, wandered my way down here, and I could feel the crunch of frost under my feet as I headed down to the garden. So I knew without a doubt that there would be some frost damage on my squash, especially. Squash is very sensitive to frost. And let me show you what happened. So this is my pumpkin patch, and as you can see, we have some very, very frost damaged leaves. There's still some life down there, which is a good thing because that means that the frost likely didn't hit the plants or the fruit themselves. But we have definitely some very solid frost damage. Normally we will get frost by the end of August. So just about every year since we moved here 9.5 years ago, we have had frost by the end of August, a light frost, usually lighter than this one. This one was a little bit harder than we usually get for our very first frost in the fall. So needless to say, it wasn't unexpected to have frost. Remember a couple of weeks ago how I said that I wanted to cover my squash with frost blankets to try to give them a little bit more time at this end of the season. Because we had such a cold spring, my squash were really late to start, really taking off. And I wanted to give them a little bit more time at the end of the season, and I obviously didn't do that. So the good news is a lot of the squash that's in this patch, all the pumpkins and some of the winter storage squash that I want to put in the cold room, all look okay, and some of them are even mature and mostly cured here on the vines, which is fairly unusual. Normally I do need to cure my squash inside, and we'll get into all of that when I start harvesting these. But over here, where my other squash patches that has been much slower to take off because it's a little bit shaded by Dan's shop, wasn't hit as hard as those ones were. So it still has some damage, but the frost didn't go very deep down. I'll show you what I mean. So you can see there's lots of damage on the top leaves, but there's still lots that are okay. So what I'm thinking of doing is going through here and seeing if there's any squash that are sized up enough that I can harvest. And if there's anything that's too small that I want to give a little bit more time to, and it's worth it to put the effort to cover all of these squash, because this is a fairly good sized patch here with frost blankets, then I probably will do that and see if we can't limp them along just a little bit longer, because I think some of those ones really do need to size up. We also have all of this broccoli here. I ended up with excellent side shoots. Some of these look just like regular size heads, so we need to get all that harvested too. Broccoli can handle a bit of frost, but some of these are starting to really loosen. Like you can see this here. So I want to get these all pulled off today too. The great news is a lot of what's left in the garden can actually stay out here even with these cold temperatures. So all the root vegetables, for instance, the kale in over there can stay, our carrots here, beets and rutabagas there. I do have a bunch of celery down there that I really should pick. The celery is looking fantastic, and this got hit with frost, but it doesn't really phase it. These leaves are thick enough to be able to withstand a bit of frost, but I kind of feel like I should probably get these picked too. So carrots are one of those things that if you want to be able to store them, it's best to get them picked before it freezes too hard or even frosts too hard. And the reason for that is these shoulders that are sticking out of the ground here can get damaged by really cold temperatures, and then they just don't store as well in the root cellar. So it won't be long before we're going to be doing the big carrot harvest and getting all of this put into the root cellar. So let's get started over here. Look at these beautiful pumpkins. So this one is a Dill's Atlantic, and I would like to leave this one in the garden for a little bit longer, so I'll wrap the actual fruit itself. But these Cinderella pumpkins down here are awesome. Do you see how the stem has started to go brown and dry? This is actually the curing process for this fruit. So when we remove the fruit from the vine, we do want to remove it down over here because having the stem on actually helps protect the fruit from rotting in the wintertime. So we don't want to break it off. It's pretty fragile when it gets hard like this, so it breaks off fairly easily, so definitely cut them. And then because it's not totally dry yet, it's pretty close, I'll finish curing it up at the house. Normally what I do is cure my squash in a sunny window in my kitchen, usually my sliding glass door, so probably for the next 4 or 5 weeks when we do videos in the house, you'll see big mounds of squash by that window, and that works really well. If you're not getting frost or it's not getting too cold, you can cure your squash on a covered deck if you want, just kind of away from the elements. Oftentimes I'll do that if it's not too cold right up against the house, because it is protected from frost there. And then they're ready to go into storage when those stems are perfectly dried out. So these might seem a little bit overkill, but they actually work really well for being able to cut off squash quite easily. Look at that beautiful Cinderella pumpkin. This makes me so happy. Wow, these are really packed in there. Look at this. They are just packed right in there like sardines. So I think I can cut this vine here. When it comes to squash and frost, they can handle a light frost on their skin, and you might even go out and see a little bit of discoloration early in the morning, and then that fades by the late afternoon. But anything that is too hard of a frost can actually damage the skin and then impact how well it stores. So I usually try to get mine out before there's a risk of hard frost. And since these guys are pretty much ready anyway, might as well pull them out now. I have never had them grow like this before, where they're so packed in there. That's just gorgeous. So like I said, I am gonna leave this big one here because it would be fun if it could grow a little bit bigger, and there's enough life in these leaves. So I'll just throw a frost blanket over these ones. Another beauty. Aren't these a gorgeous pumpkin? A woman named Rhonda, many years ago, probably when I first started my channel, sent me these seeds, the Cinderella pumpkin seeds. It was the first time I'd ever grown a Cinderella pumpkin, and I just have never gone back because they are such a wonderful, beautiful pumpkin that do well in our short growing season. And they're a great pie pumpkin. So that's what I use them for. Harvesting squash has got to be one of my favorite things to do in the garden because it's like a treasure hunt, and I try to restrain myself before the harvest from going in and looking too much to see. I'm like a kid in the garden, but to see what's here so that it can be a fun surprise when I come in like I am now. So many gorgeous pumpkins. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to show you this. Holy cow. Oh my word. Oh. Look at this. This is a gorgeous squash. So this one, let's see if I can remember. This one is either the Geet Okasamen, which I know I did start this year, or it is the Candy Roaster. I can't remember which, so I'll look it up when I go inside and tell you. But those two squash are amongst my favorite squashes. And I did not realize I had such a big, beautiful squash in there. I'm so excited. Oh, let's see if there's any more. We've got a couple of little tiny ones that didn't have a chance to develop. There's another little tiny one down there. Do we have any more of those? Oh my gosh, look, look, look. Ah! Look at that. There's another one and another one over there. Oh my gosh, that's exciting. Oh, no way. Look at this. This is another one of my favorites. Oh, there's a few of them. This one is a peanut pumpkin, and they are absolutely scrumptious. They're so sweet. Do we have any more hiding in there? Oh, nope, but we do have some butternut squash. That's exciting. I wasn't expecting butternut squash, but these ones, I'm so excited about that. I'm pretty sure these are the Geet Okasamen squash because the Candy Roasters are more of a beigey color with a more distinct green end on them, or like a bluish kind of end on them. So that would be exciting because I haven't been successful growing the Geets. Where did I put my clippers? in the last couple years. But either way, they're beautiful and I'm so happy. Oh my gosh. I am feeling exceedingly grateful today for all of this food because I have been raising my own pork for a long time, but we're not raising pork right now. And we bought some bacon at the store. And when I was cooking up the bacon today, I just opened the package and dumped it in. I didn't check the amount of meat that was on the that was in the package. And when I dumped it out, I thought to myself, well, that's weird. This doesn't seem like a pound of bacon. It's been a very long time since I bought bacon, okay? So anyway, I looked at the package and realized that it was, what was it? 375 grams, which is 0.8 of a pound, I think. So I was shocked by that, just the shrinkflation, but also the cost of the pack of bacon was ridiculous. So I have been feeling such a sense of gratitude for all of this beautiful food coming out of my garden right now. Man, and I'm also feeling just so highly motivated and excited to teach people about growing food. And not even just growing food, because sometimes for multiple reasons, growing food isn't an option for everybody. But being able to buy from local farmers or buying food in bulk is an option for a lot of people. And then I can teach you how to convert that food into food for your pantry shelf. And I just feel like that's, number one, such an honor that I get to be able to do that. But also it's really exciting for me to do that because food prices are just so outrageous. Where did I put my clippers again? Good grief, I'm so excited that I'm not paying attention to where I'm putting stuff. Where did I put them? You guys can probably see them from where you are, can't you? Ah, there they are. But anyways, yeah, I'm just really excited to talk about preserving and teach it and teach how to grow food and all those things, because it's just something that's really needed right now. And I'm honored to be able to do that on this platform. And on that note, if you missed it in my last video, look at this, oh my gosh. I am hosting a Zoom call, a Q&A Zoom call, all about gardening and preserving and all that fun stuff that I talk about here on my channel at the end of the month. I think it's the 27th, it might be the 29th, but I'll put the details down in the show notes for you. But you can register for that call, and we're doing a couple garden giveaways during that call, seed giveaways, and I'm also giving away my 2025 garden planner to everybody who joins us on that call. So if you are interested in that and being able to ask your questions, you can register for that call down below, and I'll also put it in the pinned comment too. Oh my gosh, guys, there's another one. Look at that beauty. Isn't that gorgeous? This is so exciting. I wonder how many squash I'm gonna actually get. I think my best year ever was something like 320 squash. We're definitely not gonna come anywhere close to that this year. But honestly, I'd be happy with 10, which we're already over now at this point, because I wasn't expecting to get any. And there is another one. Oh my gosh, there's another one down there. No way. Gorgeous. Just so beautiful. Aren't squash just the most beautiful plant? They look just magical growing in the garden. And absolutely stunning when they're grown like this. Oh, I cannot wait. So I'm going to store some of these in my cold room inside, and I'm also going to be freeze drying a bunch, which I did last year, and I'll show you how to can them. I'm not really canning them much anymore, just because I have the freeze dryer and it's a lot easier, but I will show you how to do it because it's a great staple to have on the shelves. Okay, so I have a bunch of butternut squash in here, but I think, like with the large pumpkins over here, that I can just cover them and hopefully give them a little bit more time to size up. They're not a bad size, but they're certainly not mature yet. Check out this one. Look at the size of that pumpkin there. So I really would love to see that one grow as big as it possibly can. So we'll leave that one in too. But we still have 1, 2, 3, 4 more Cinderella pumpkins to pick from this patch. This is such a great tool for harvesting squash. Okay, we'll pull those ones out in a sec. These ones here that were really hit hard by the frost are my sugar pumpkins, and then my baby mashed potato squash there. Those ones are just ornamental, so I'll leave them out here and let them do their thing for a little bit. I just use them for fall decoration because they're really cute. And my sugar pumpkins are actually starting to ripen here. So I think that I may just leave these in here for a little bit and just make sure that I cover them at night. But let's take a wander over to this patch and see if we have anything worth salvaging and worth the effort to cover everything up. I have these really thick, gigantic commercial frost blankets that I'll be able to cover all of this with, but let's see if it's worth it first. Okay, that's a nice looking little butternut under there. So even like this, even green like this will ripen inside. I find the butternut do take a bit longer to ripen indoors. So like I said, I do want to leave them out here. There's a little one down there. Oh, we've got tons of them in here. Okay, so this is worth saving, this patch for sure, because there's tons of butternuts. Those are some of my favorite. Lots more over here. What else do I have in here? Oh my goodness. Look at that. That is a giant green Hubbard squash. What a beauty. Oh, what are these guys? I planted some new ones in here. I don't remember what that one is, but it is starting to cure, so that must be mature. One of the other ways you can tell if your squash are cured is stick your fingernail, and if they don't leave a dent, which that one did, then they are cured. That's for winter squash. But these ones could sit out here for a bit, and there's tons of them in there. Oh my goodness. What else do we have in here? We have some of these beautiful ones in here that I can't remember what they're called, but I have quite a few of them. So this is definitely worth covering, wouldn't you say? There's another giant green Hubbard there. So for sure we want to save this patch. What else do we have in there? Some more of those little green ones. Those might be Jardale. I'll have to look them up. Anyway, this is worth saving for sure. So we will get all the stuff we need harvested, and then we'll get all this covered with the blankets for tonight. Oh, we have a little bit of corn in here. Wonder if any of these are any good. We'll open that one up. Oh, these guys have been pulled back and eaten by something. Some more there. Okay, let's check these guys out because there's a couple more in here. When they start to kind of lean away from the stalk like that and the tops are dry, they're usually ready to pick at that point. So let's see what we have here. My neighbor, I showed you that in the last video, brought me over a bunch of corn that she grew, and I think I could have grown corn this year because it was certainly a hot enough summer. I successfully grew corn one year, but every other year hasn't really been great. So I just haven't been, oh my gosh, look at that. So I just haven't been taking up the space in my garden to grow it. That is gorgeous. Definitely should have this year, that's for sure. Oh, this one's been nibbled on a little bit by some critter, but still beautiful cob of corn. So you know what? I think we'll probably boil up this corn with dinner tonight. We're having homemade hamburger helper for dinner tonight. We'll have some corn on the cob with it too. This one cross-pollinated with one of the pink popcorns that I have in here, but it looks like the popcorn didn't grow. Let's see. My neighbor's corn was pretty small too, as far as like not really big, but really well developed corn. So I've cut all that off the cob, and I'm going to be pressure canning that. May get to that later today, we'll see. Probably not though, because this harvest I think is going to take most of my time today that I have available for such tasks. But I'm happy with this corn. So I guess we'll also just harvest all the corn that's on here. Look at that. It's so pretty out. That one got a little cross-pollination too. That's not bad at all. Happy with that. I have all these gorgeous purple beans here. These are my very favorite beans to grow. These were also sent to me by a subscriber many, many years ago, and I've just been saving seeds ever since. They're so tender and delicious. They're called Belindi or Bull, something like that. Anywho, let's put these, I didn't bring my wagon down, good grief. So I think what I'm gonna do right now is grab my wagon, get the dill harvested, because dill doesn't like frost at all. Get the broccoli picked, the corn, and I think that's probably what we'll pick that I'll end up having to process today, because I also have all those beans that my girlfriend brought over that I do have all cut up and ready to go, but I need to blanch them and get them into the freeze dryer. I have the corn that I mentioned. I need to get that pressure canned, and then I'm going to have to blanch and freeze all the broccoli that we're about to pick right now, and also freeze dry the dill. So I think that's probably enough. Do you know what's really nice though? Is even though it was so cold this morning, my hands were actually cold enough to wear gloves this morning. It is warm enough right now that I'm actually starting to get hot. So let me fill you in on the plan for the high tunnel now at this point. The high tunnel wasn't damaged by the frost. Whew, it is warm in here. Let's open up that back door. And it won't be from a light frost like that. It definitely completely halts the growth of the plants themselves, but it doesn't affect the ripening. They continue to ripen. So I'm going to leave them out here until it starts actually freezing at night. So staying, well, you know, a couple degrees below zero for a couple consecutive nights. And then I will come out and actually pick all my tomatoes. My hope is to not have to ripen hundreds of pounds of green tomatoes in my kitchen, which I have had to do the last couple of years. And it's completely doable. They will ripen, especially if they've started a tiny bit of a blush out here on the vine, but not my favorite thing. I much prefer to get them ripened out here. That being said, looking at these vines, I do have quite a few tomatoes to pick from here as well. But in just kind of looking around right now, this pathway has become a serious jungle because I completely gave up on pruning a few weeks ago. But needless to say, I do have quite a few tomatoes that are going to need to be picked in here. They're super easy for me to deal with because I just bring them inside, wash them off, cut them in half, and throw them in my roaster oven, and then usually deal with them the next day. So I'm doing, I don't know, a couple of canner loads every 2 days or so of tomato products. That chili base that I made the other day, by the way, getting hot, was fantastic. So I'm going to make a ton more of that. I am really going to move now into kind of convenience foods for my pantry now that most of the bulk canning that I have to do is done. I still have those turkeys to do. I really need to do those this week. And all the potatoes for bulk, but a lot of the other stuff is just smaller batches. So that feels fantastic. Since we're right here, let's just quickly pull off the rest of this corn, and at least the ones that haven't been eaten by whatever's been in here. Some of these are super tiny. I'll just leave those for the critters. Super tiny. Oh well, I'm happy to get any, honestly. This one did great. This one was bodacious and did pretty well. So that's awesome. Enough for dinner anyway. I'll show you the frost blankets. I'm not going to bring them out till tonight, but I can show them to you. So this is what it looks like. This one is a heavy weighted one for heavier frosts, and I also have some lighter stuff here for lighter frost, but I'm definitely going to use this heavier one here Onions are still out here waiting for my attention. But like I said, when I put them out here, I can just leave them out here and they'll just continue curing. And then when I'm ready to process them, I can just bring them in. Unless it froze, in which case I'd need to bring them in because that will ruin them. Okay, let's go down here. And oh, look at that gorgeous straw flower. So these are self-seeded straw flowers from my last year where I had this bed filled with them. This one here is one of my favorite colors. Isn't that beautiful? So lovely. And this is fennel. And I'm really hoping that this actually has enough time to go to seed because it would be really cool to have my own fennel seed. And then obviously that fennel is related to the dill because it looks almost exactly the same. So we're gonna pick a whole bunch of this dill. Hey, look, we actually have some dill seed. Oh, you know what? I think I might leave some of this. Like, look at those. Oh, look, there's a ladybug on there. To go to seed so I can actually collect my own dill seed. I do enjoy seed saving and I save from lots of different things. So as we go through the fall and I'm saving seeds off of certain things, I'll show you how I do that. I'm certainly not an expert by any stretch, but I have learned over the years a few tricks. So I am gonna pick some of this though, and I'll leave some of it that's already, all the stuff here that is already actually gone to seed. I'll leave these guys, but these flowers and the leaves down here I'll pick. Oh, look at that. That one's actually dry. Oh my gosh. We'll pick that and bring that in. This is mammoth dill and it did really well in my garden. Oh, there's another ladybug right there. Wonder if there are any aphids on here because the ladybugs love the aphids and the aphids love the dill. There probably are a few. So anyways, we'll pull this one and bring that inside to finish drying inside because it's fully mature. Hi, Nala. What you doing? This is my garden kitty. Hi, sweetheart. You love the garden almost as much as I do, don't you? Good girl. Oh, look, there's another one down here that is mature. Okay, let's pop off a bunch of these. So I don't use a ton of dill in my cooking. I do use it to make, when I do my beet borscht, I use dill for that. I love it. But I don't really cook with it that much. So I don't need a ton of it. But we'll pick some anyway. Really and truly, I just love the smell of it. I love the look of it. I love the way that it moves in the wind in the garden. It's just beautiful. I would grow it just for the beauty of it, honestly. Like, I mean, look at that. It's gorgeous. Okay, oh man, there's so much beauty in the garden today. Look at that zinnia. What a gorgeous zinnia. Bumblebees are just going crazy in the garden right now. These are just stunning. You agree, don't you, little lady? Remember how we planted all of that spinach, I think 3 weeks ago now? Let me show you. I have not stayed on top of weeding this at all, but it's looking not bad. Some big, beautiful leaves here. So I'll probably wait and do this tomorrow, but I'm gonna harvest all this and blanch it and freeze it. All right, beautiful cosmos down here, looking stunning. I didn't lose all the sunflowers. I did manage to keep a few of them. Okay, I'm cooking now, so let's get all this stuff actually put into the wheelbarrow and brought up to the house. This broccoli has just done absolutely fantastic this year. So normally I plant a broccoli called Everest, and I always have, and that's a good one too. But I don't know that it's as good as this one. This was one that I bought because they were sold out or just didn't carry Everest this year from West Coast Seeds. And I don't know what's going on with my memory right now, but I am having a difficult time remembering all the names of my plants. I'm usually pretty good at that, but not today. So I'll see if I can remember to put it on the screen for you. But it's wonderful. The side shoots on it are a nice decent size. And all the way into September, they're still producing. So we're gonna get a nice little haul here. I'm putting together a list of all my seeds. I've started doing it, that I have been growing here in my garden for the last couple of years, with links over on my blog. So it's a work in progress, but it is over there now if you want to go check it out. I'll be adding to it as we go, and hopefully we'll have all the seeds that I grew this year, so it updated from last year within the next week or two. But I will have everything that I can recommend for at least our growing zone, although a lot of these varieties would work great no matter where you garden. Ones like this that are kind of coming apart work really well for stir fries. They're not the best for freezing, but they do, because they go like a little bit mushy, but they are really good for stir fries. So I'll just put them in the fridge and use them up in the next couple days. So here we go, and I wanted to show you something that I did. I pulled out my beautiful rosemary from the green stalk, and also this cute little lavender here, and I'm going to try to overwinter them. I do know that people overwinter these all the time. If you have any advice for me, please let me know, because I have yet to be successful overwintering either a lavender or a rosemary. I know there's something to do with the amount of water you give it, light, temperature, all of those things. So yeah, give me some tips if you have any, because this is a gorgeous rosemary. So we're gonna get all this up to the house, and I'll meet you up there. I'm at this time of year where I feel like I never get my kitchen fully clean, that I'm just cleaning kind of layers of dirt, but I never actually get to the bottom of it, because by the time I'm almost done cleaning it, there's a new mess already building. That's just where I'm at. So it's kind of clean enough right now to at least get onto these next projects that need to be done. So I have the corn here. So this is the corn that my neighbor brought over that I showed you in the last video. So what we've done is just chucked the corn and then cut all the kernels off, and we are going to cold pack these and pressure can them. So you can hot pack or cold pack corn. You can hot pack or cold pack just about anything. I'm going to cold pack it because it is faster, and I have a lot to deal with right now. The other thing that we're going to deal with is these gorgeous purple beans. I have 2 bowls of them. These also came from my neighbor, and look at how beautiful these are. They are purple on the outside and green on the inside. In all likelihood, when I blanch these, which I'm going to be doing in a minute, they are going to turn green, because that's normally what happens with purple beans. I just have a pot going on the stove. I'm going to blanch these for 3 minutes and then put them in cold water, and then I am going to freeze dry them. I think that's what we're going to do. My freeze dryer is actually going right now, but I can get these on trays, put them in the freezer, pre-freeze them, and put them in when I have some room in my freeze dryer. Speaking of freeze dryer, I have all of the melons over here. Well, we've actually eaten a lot of the melons, and there's a few green that are still ripening, but these are the melons that we've chopped up, and I'm going to freeze dry these as well. So these are the ones from the high tunnel. I'm very excited about them, and I have also started to save seed from those melons. So these are the northern melons, and all I did was give these a rinse off and dry them on some paper towel. So they are ready to package up for planting next spring. I am definitely going to plant many more melons. They did so well. I have some plans for how I'm going to circumvent whether we have a really cold spring or we have early frosts or anything like that by using row covers to grow them. But what else do we have? Oh, we also have to blanch over here. We have our wheelbarrow sitting in my kitchen because that's how I roll around here. And we are going to blanch, or cut up and blanch, all of that broccoli too. I really should get to that today because it is best when it's processed, freshly picked from the garden. But we'll see where we get to when we get all this stuff done. Okay, our beans are cooked, and as you can see, there's no purple left on those beans. So these are just gonna go, whoops, into trays and into the freeze dryer. So with corn, it is recommended not to pack them really tight into the jar. They are a very low acid food. They take quite a long time. I think it's 85 minutes to pressure can. And because they have a lot of sugar in them, sometimes the sugar with the heat of the pressure canner caramelizes a little bit and they turn a little bit brown. It doesn't seem to affect the flavor much or anything. And I'm just using these to add into soup and chili and things like that, where it's not like, whoops, it's not a standalone ingredient. So it's no big deal. It's easy to cut the kernels off. It doesn't take too long to do them, especially with ones that have nice big kernels, although it is recommended to use slightly immature corn. I'm not sure why, for canning. I never have. I've always just used mature corn. I'm gonna get way more jars than I thought I was gonna get. I'm gonna get quite a few jars out of that. Okay, so I'm gonna get these lidded up and put in the canner. And then I am going to save doing the broccoli. It's gonna be cool enough outside, I can put those outside and they will stay nice and crisp. And I'm gonna do them tomorrow because I'm just starting to get tired. So those, I'm just gonna be blanching them for a couple of minutes and then putting them in cold water. Then I'm gonna flash freeze them on cookie trays so that they freeze all separate, and then I'll put them in Ziploc bags and freeze them. There is a difference between frozen and freeze-dried. I really like freeze-dried vegetables for soups, but I like frozen vegetables for things like, we love making crepes, savory cheese crepes with broccoli, and I just think that they taste better when they're frozen than freeze-dried for that. So I do want to have some of both. Before I end off today's video, I'll quickly show you all the squash out on the deck. Look at how beautiful and cheerful those look. They'll be protected here against the house from the frost because it's not going to get too terribly cold tonight, and then it looks like it's going to warm up again a little bit. So I'm going to leave them out here until they're cured all the way, and then I'll move them down to the pantry. I just keep them in my canning pantry, just in wooden crates on the bottom, or on the kind of on the floor, I guess. I do want to try to get as many of these actually preserved in like either freeze-dried or canned or frozen or whatever, just because I find I tend to use them more when they're already done like that than if they're sitting whole like this in my cold room. And then I also end up always having some go bad because I forget about them under there. So that's my goal, is to try to get a lot of these actually preserved, and I'll make sure that I take you along with me for that. I hope that you enjoyed today's video, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.